All right, well, first of all, Luke, it's fight week. You're in London. Now, as nice as it must have been to fight and win in Manchester, this is the one that you've been waiting for, isn't it? To fight in your hometown of London.
That's right, 45 minutes from my house. I think I was the last person to arrive at the hotel because I was having a massage in the morning yesterday. So nice and relaxing. It's so easy to fight here, and I can't wait to fight at the O2. It means a lot to me, and you know, I've been to the O2 so many times to see so many different various acts, and now I get to compete there. It's going to be fantastic.
How soon after your fight in Manchester did the UFC contact you about this London card?
It was a couple of months, or about 6 weeks. A bit later, like fights. I knew I was going to be on the card because the card got announced, and I was like, you know, they're not going to put me anywhere else. It doesn't make any sense. And I was in. I think I was in Dubai for a fight show at the time, and I got the email, and I just arrived at this hotel in Dubai, and I think it was Dubai, might have been Jordan, I can't remember. And I was sitting at the desk getting this email, and then I stayed up till 6, 7 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't sleep. I was so excited. I remember tweeting a picture of my laptop, a book, and like me up saying, you know, getting things done, 6 AM here, and you know, setting my goals. And I stayed up all night writing down my goals for the fight, what I wanted to do in the fight, how I wanted the fight to go, you know, and I just couldn't sleep. I was so excited. So
did you know your opponent at that time? Was it Mats, or was it just that you were going to fight on the card?
No, they told me my opponent there and then. So that's when I knew I was going to fight on the card. Then I got the email saying you're fighting Mats Nilsson. I know Mats Nilsson very well. I've seen him fight many times. You know, so I knew exactly what was going to happen, and that's why I just stayed up writing down my goals.
Well, it seems like you have a connection to Nordic MMA. I saw you exchanging some tweets with some of the Norwegian guys, like Håkon and Jack and Mosen. How are you connected to them?
I want to say, you know, well, Joachim Hansen is actually living in my house at the moment. He trains with my coach, Robbie Olivier. So me and Joachim train a lot together. Obviously, he's just featherweight. And Joachim trained with Mosen, with Jack, with all those guys. So they've been over to England many times and trained with me. I'm very close to those guys. They're all fighting in Copenhagen 3 weeks later, which I'll be at. You know, so I have quite a lot of connections in, like you said, in Nordic, like in Sweden. You know, Shooters MMA is the head of the federation Shooters MMA that Gladius, the gym over in Gothenburg. That's it. Yeah. I was thinking Stockholm. In Gothenburg, August Valen, who runs that. So, you know, I have a lot of connections. I had Thor Trang over to train with me as well. So, you know, a lot of Swedes, a lot of Norwegians in my camp.
So is Thor giving you some advice? Because obviously Nilsson lost to him on his last fight. So have you had any kind of advice for him in preparation?
Definitely. I mean, Thor came. That was the whole reason Thor came. Me and Thor, good friends, and he was the last person to beat Mats Nilsson, as you said. So we just, you know, I knew what the game plan was going to be. It was very similar to Thor's game plan, but it's always good to have some training with the guy that beat the guy you're going to fight and has a few little tips, and you know, very, very helpful guy. Thor is a fantastic training partner and a great guy. Unfortunately, he got injured to fight Bubba a week after me, which was a shame. That was like a week after he went home from training with me. But yeah, fantastic guy, and he gave me some great insights. And just you know, it's imagine sitting there and you're on Twitter and you look at my Twitter and you see me training with a guy that just beat you, training with Michael Bisping, training with, you know, got Dolce over, you know, all these things. It gives you a little bit of an edge. Not a huge one, but it's his debut in the UFC, and he's got a lot that he's got to fight against already, and then all these added things. So it's always great. You
said recently in an interview that you'd like to be the face of the UFC in the UK. How far away do you think you are from achieving that?
You tell me. What do you guys think? I think I'm ready to do it now. I think the sport needs a new ambassador here in England. There's no one running stuff over here. There's no one here who can be the face. We've got, like I said, we've got Pearson's here, which is great. We've got Bisping, but Pearson's in Australia. He's in the States. They're all over the place. Bisping's obviously living in California now, and I'm here. I mean, I'm here all year round, only when I'm travelling or whatever, you know, on holiday. So I'm in England. I'm an English fighter, living in Cambridge, training in Cambridge. So I just feel like the sport's going to explode over here, needs to explode over here, but they need a messenger. They need someone to tell the people that don't know what the UFC is. Not the fans. That we've already got diehard fans. You know, they're great, and they can, you know, they can support us and support everyone, all the rest of it. But to transition and get fans to know what the UFC is and to know what MMA is and to support the sport is very difficult. And you need somebody who can, you know, can talk to them and let them know what it is. It's just an understanding. You know, Chael says it quite well when he gets asked a lot. What do you think when someone says that MMA is a brutal sport and blah blah? He says, well, I don't have conversation with idiots. You know, uneducated people, go and educate them. So we need to educate people in England. We need to let them know what the sport is and why our athletes are so great. And you know, I think I'm the man to do that. And I just need to get given the platform to do it.
I think we've all noticed how busy you've been over the last couple of months. You're a regular on the BT Sports show Beyond the Octagon. You recently held a seminar with Mike Dolce. So does that kind of help maybe the monotony of training and grinding every day in the gym to be able to do so many things outside of the gym for the UFC and for the brand?
Definitely. I mean, I'm a busy man. I'm always got something going on. Fingers in many pies, I think that's the phrase.
Yeah.
Don't know what that means, but yeah. So I'm a busy guy, and I like to stay busy. And people, you know, they get confused and they're like, well, you should be training 100%, concentrating. I train 100%. You know, I turn up to gym twice a day and I train for that period of time. I'm training 100%. My rest is 100%. My diet is 100%. But I can do two things at once. You know, it's not like, yeah, I train three hours a day. What do I do with the other 21 hours? You know, so it's it does break things up. It does keep me excited, and being involved. You know, I've always done stuff outside of MMA, but being involved with the UFC and doing stuff that coincides with it, like you said, the Dolce seminars and all that sort of stuff, it's perfect. It's the perfect side business. It's perfect timing for me. Going on, you know, Beyond the Octagon is fantastic. We did something with the BBC the other day. You know, just working and doing what I love and speaking to you guys and spreading the word of MMA is what I want to do. You know, it's what I'm passionate about, so it's great.
You spoke about Mike Biss being, you know, based in California, Ross Pearce in Australia, even Brad Scott, who's fighting on this card, he spent his camp in Arizona. Are you confident enough that you've got all the facilities and the training partners to be able to stay in England for your entire fight camp? And are you ever kind of interested in potentially having a camp at a different gym outside of the UK at all?
I mean, I'm looking at Singapore right now to go train there for a couple of months. Okay. Evolve, which is more for like the monotony again, the holiday, and have a good time and enjoy training. It's training twice a day, every day of your life. Obviously, I enjoy it and I love it, but you've got to mix things up. And I applaud the guys like Brad who's going out to the States, and it takes a lot to do that. It's a lot of money, it's a lot of effort. You've got to go away from your family, and it's tough, you know. And people think, oh, it's amazing he's going over and training in the States and doing this. I did that. I went and trained with Chael for 4 months in Oregon, and it's hard. You're away from all of your comforts, which is a good reason for it. But like I said in the interview that you spoke about, the game has changed. Things have changed now. There's so many athletes here in England that are competing at a high level. Like I said about my Nordic, you know, all the Swedes, and there's enough guys in Europe for you to compete in the UFC. Look at Gustafsson. You know, he does go over to Alliance every now and then, but now he's at All Stars, trains solely at All Stars for most of his camps, goes out maybe for a couple of weeks. You know, when he says he's going to Alliance, he's there 2-3 weeks. It's not, that doesn't make your camp. So I believe the more we move forward, the more Europe and England especially, you can be a UFC fighter at the top highest level and still train in England, live in England, and that's what I want to do. Doesn't mean I might not fancy going to California for a month and training. You know, that's just one of the great things about fighting in the UFC, the connections you make and the people you meet and the opportunity to go and sit on a beach in California for a month and then train. You know, it's fantastic, and I would definitely do it. Or go to Arizona. You know, I'd love to go train with Kelvin Gastelum, one of the guys from the Ultimate Fighter. I'd love to go over to All Stars and train with Thor. I'd love to travel and meet people and have a good time.
Do you think that you're a more composed fighter now compared to your fight in Manchester? Obviously, after you got the knockdown, there was a bit of a premature celebration there. So have you tried to mentally prepare yourself to make sure that you are composed if that situation does arise again in the octagon?
I mean, how do you train that? How do you train? You know, I spoke about this a few times. My premature celebration, you know, I thought I knocked him out. You know, I've been visualising that knockout, that exact punch, for about 6 weeks, and then when I hit him with it and he fell over, I was just like, oh, it's done. So I don't think you can train that. I don't think it's something they said. I think it's just experience. You know, I talk about being the face of UK MMA. I talk about all of these things, and these are goals. These are things I want to do, and I think I'm prepared to do. But I've only been doing professional MMA for 2 years. You know, I have not been doing this long. Things have happened very, very quickly for me, which I'm ready for and I can handle. But fight-wise, fight experience, and little things like that, they're going to happen, you know. And I might try the worm this time after I knock someone down. I said that on a tweet, you know. As long as it doesn't cost me fights, then I'm not bothered with it. I think that's one of the reasons I got 50 grand at the end of the day, was with a little bit of a celebration, a little bit of excitement, and you know, hopefully that doesn't happen again.
Luke, being the, as you said, wanting to be the face of UK MMA, does that put an extra pressure on you to finish a fight?
I don't think so. You know, as a fighter and all the other a fight's a fight. If you can beat a guy for 15 minutes, or you can beat him in a minute, winning is all that matters. You know, that's the sole reason I'm here, is to fight and win fights. So I always put pressure on myself to finish fights. I'm always looking for a finish all the time. But if it doesn't come, it doesn't come. If you start putting pressure on yourself and you start worrying about these things, your performance is gonna be the first thing that struggles. And I said that in an interview recently, actually, with one of the guys at the UFC. The stronger or the tighter you hold on to something, you know, the more you care about something, the less you get out of it. You know, there's an analogy in a relationship: the person who cares the least has the most power. So in MMA, I believe the same. Like, if you care so much about something, like you said about being the face of UK, I care so much about being the face of UK MMA, I want to do this, I want to get a knockout, I want to get a knockout, then you're going to question every little move that you make. And when you're in a fighting situation, you can't question anything. You just have to let it flow and relax. And I don't believe that. I just go into the fight, and if I win, I win. You know, Mats Nilsson's been training hard too. You know, if me and my coach were talking about it, if Mats Nilsson comes out and he beats me on Saturday night, well done. You know, I've been training hard, I'm in great shape. So if he can beat me, you know, I'll get up, I'll shake his hand, and I'll take him for a beer, and I'll say, what did you do? What did you do in your training, you know? So
holding on to something, you say, can be bad, but you're also an advocate of visualization. So through the training camp, I know you have something that you want to hit on Saturday night. But if that's all you're thinking about, like, as you said, the shot that dropped him in Manchester was what you'd been working on in training. What's the level between wanting to hit this and going all out to try and hit it?
That's the science. That's the magic. That's what you need to practice. That's what you need to know. You know, you can't force anything. If you as soon as you try and force something, it's never going to work. And I think in Manchester you saw that. I wasn't forcing that uppercut. I wasn't forcing my straight right. You got to be economical. You got to wait for the right time and let it go, and just training it and training it and training it and training it. That comes. You know, you just think about it. First 3 weeks of my training camp, all I was doing was trying to throw that punch. It comes naturally, and you know, I feel very, very strong about it. And
finally, what's the prediction for this weekend? I know you alluded to it a couple of weeks ago, but
it's going to be a knockout in the second round. I think about 3 minutes in, because the way I look at this fight, you know, Mats Nilsson, he's a talented grappler. There's no way in hell he wants to stand in front of me. It's just impossible, you know. He's a lot shorter than me, not the greatest striker in the world. He might pretend to strike for about 30 seconds and then try and ram me up against the fence and take me down. That's his game. Try and look to take my back or get a choke. After he gets tired of doing that for 3 minutes, and he's, you know, if you're fighting a grappler and they can't take you down, their confidence starts to die. They start to feel like, oh, this isn't going my way. And when he sits on that stool in between round 1 and 2, and he realises he's in the octagon with a different level of athlete, a different level to him, then he's going to start doubting himself. That's when he'll get desperate. He'll come in for some desperate takedowns, and he'll get knocked out.
Is it true that you've said that you'd like to maybe potentially fight Francis Carmont down the line, or maybe after this fight?
You know, Francis is... I actually spoke to Gareth about this earlier. Francis, before he was on a 5-fight win streak or a 6-fight win streak, I believe. Had a few dodgy decisions. Wasn't the most exciting guy in the world. Hardly really did anything. Just stood there and threw a few kicks and a jab and was winning fights. And I was just looking at him thinking, you know, I'm going to force this guy to throw punches. I'm going to make this guy work hard, you know. So that's why I wanted to fight. Saw him fight Jacare, and I thought he did very, very well. I was very impressed with him, and I earned a little bit more. Obviously, I've got respect for everyone, but I felt respect for Francis in that fight. Obviously, he lost. But yeah, he's definitely a guy I want to fight. He's still a guy I want to fight, and there's no, you know, he's in the middleweight division and he's in the top 10, so I want that fight. Right now, realistically, I'm a realist. You know, let's not mess around. It was my 3rd fight in the UFC. You know, it'll be my 2nd bonus in a row, hopefully, and it will hopefully be my second finish in a row. But Francis is up there now. He's had 7 fights in UFC. You know, maybe at the end of the year. You know, let's let him win a fight first. You know, he needs another fight to win. Going on a 2-fight losing streak, it's not good karma.
And you don't think that's a mistake to overlook your upcoming fight, to already think about future opponents at all?
No. Again, this is. You know, I'm not overlooking anyone. Again, I turn up to the gym every single day. I train very, very hard, and I'm training for a specific person. But your mind wanders. You think about these things. I believe it's almost a little bit of mental weakness when people say, all I'm thinking about is this one guy. It's Saturday night's all that matters. Blah blah blah. My life is over. No, you know, if I lose on Saturday night, I lose on Saturday night. If I win, I win, and we move on. So you need to think about the next step. You know, and I haven't really been thinking about Francis at all. Like, I made that comment a little while ago, and I saw his fight, and I thought, well, it was pretty good. You know, that's definitely a fight I'll have in the future, and I just left it there. My next step is going to be something different, and I'm struggling. You know, I know when I win on Saturday, so John Gooden's or Dan Hardy's going to come up to me and say, "What's next for you, Luke?" And I don't know right now. Maybe by Saturday I would have worked something out, but I just don't know what to say. There's no one in the division that it's like highlighted to me that I can see and think, oh, that's a great fight. So, you know, I'm not going to say whatever the UFC thing, because that's boring. But I'll think of something. I don't know what yet.
Have you had a lot of demand from your friends and family?
Okay.
So we need to get Brad in.
Okay.
On his way.
Can I possibly ask
Yeah.
a question? Jonathan Schreiber from London. I've noticed throughout the conversation, Luke, that you've kind of dropped in a few philosophies and you appear quite a learned one, and that ties in with what I saw recently on your interview with Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour, that you'd read a few life skills books and business books and things like that. Is there anything recently that you've sort of read that you could possibly advise for us?
The book I'm reading right now is pretty powerful, and I don't know if I want to share it with the world, to be honest. So the books that, you know, I don't want to share it with the world for one reason, because if you just went and read that book, it wouldn't do anything to you. You have to have the base. You have to start somewhere, and the start is definitely Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad Poor Dad, or How to Win Friends and Influence People. Those 3 books. You read those books, you'll understand me a lot better. Put it that way. They've moulded me in a way where I think about these things, and the things I talk about is through reading these books and putting them into practice.
Okay, guys. Wrap up.
Thanks a lot, Luke.
Cheers.
Much appreciated. Good luck.